This is another episode of the Backstage Sports Podcast. I'm Joe Connor.
I'm Timothy Parker, filling in for JT.
Shout out to JT. He's in Mexico right now, dealing with some technical difficulties. So we hope that everything is well with him and everything that's going on with him. He will be back with us next week. But for now, thank you so much for Timothy Parker of Spectrum News One for jumping in and rocking with us backstage today. Okay, so we have a very special guest. We have one of Philly's own. One of the great rappers, MCs out of Philly as well. He's also a phenomenal friend of my family. My family and his family have been intertwined since our birth. And so he is a southern cousin. You know how everybody cousins down south, but not really by blood. That's him. That's Doc. His name is Doc Hero. Doc Hero, welcome to the show, bro. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, man, no problem, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. So tell us a little bit about, before we jump in, there's a lot to get to, but before we jump into it, tell us a little bit about what's been going on with you in this pandemic. Everybody, especially us in the entertainment industry, has a new normal, and everybody's new normal looks a little bit different. Whether you were used to performing and doing, you go from, I was telling somebody the other day, we went from doing 200-300 shows a year to I just booked the first little mini run of this year in that I'm gonna do in almost forever, it feels like, for April. And so it's weird, you know, you go from used to being out all the time and jumping back and forth and having this, that, and the third to do, from like just having a party over booking a couple shows for a weekend, right? So what is your new normal look like in this pandemic right now?
Right now, the new normal for me, man, I feel like I was able to tap in different areas that I've been wanting to do for so long.
Yeah.
So I've always had like a passion for like when it comes to like video production and stuff like that. So I've really been like tapping into that like wholeheartedly and able to like, you know, venture out in that skill set. You know what I mean? So I feel like during this time, I definitely even started a business with a good friend of mine with video production. So that's what I've been doing, man.
Sweet.
And
so
like music, but you know, just
Yeah.
exploring a different avenue.
So the video production thing, how does that come about? Like, what is it that you're doing? Like, what's the day to day with that? Like, what are you actually doing? Are you cutting up and editing, shooting people's like music videos or movie type stuff? Like, what kind of stuff is it?
I'm doing everything. So basically, I kind of like I also a subcontractor for a different company called Helm, and our company is called Stars and Bars. So for him, I'm actually doing like the vocal recording. So there are they do like a lot of shoots for like different like chefs and stuff like that.
Okay.
And Ferguson. So a lot of different like commercials and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's dope.
And with Stars and Bars, we pretty much do the same thing. A lot of commercials, music videos, all that kind of thing. So I'm really tapping into a lot of like music videos because that's something I really want to do, and a lot of like kind of like documentary style type of things. So
that's dope.
That's
and are you doing editing or is it more of
all that editing?
Oh, okay.
Editing,
all the post stuff. You're doing all of that.
Yeah, all the post stuff. Yep.
That's dope.
Have you been doing any live streaming? I know artists have been doing live streaming concerts. Joe, I know you've done.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of live streaming.
Like, have you done any of that since this year too?
Yes, I actually did my own live streaming, and a lot of artists actually would like to do it, but when it comes to like the production side of it, it costs money for a lot of other artists.
Yeah.
So it's hard for them to actually do it and, you know, with real quality.
Yeah.
You know, just on like I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I did a piece with Polo G because there's a spot in Hollywood where the cat from That's So Raven, I forgot his name. He's a part owner of the quarry.
Wow.
He's part owner of a spot in Hollywood where they do, it's an app, it's called Live Stream app or something like that, where like people come out and they do their live stream shows. They were actually doing this before the pandemic. So,
really?
But at that time it was like with audiences, so they would be like
okay,
they would be in live streaming the concert and like South Beach or something.
Yeah.
Now they got an indoor studio space to live stream concerts, and I was there with Polo G, and I talked to him about that. So,
dope.
it's kind of the wave.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of those little venues pop up where it's like, they're not opening restaurant bars and stuff now and like live music venues. But what the new thing is like these little live stream studios where you can go in and they are charging artists. The one that I've done the most has been in Vegas. It's actually a warehouse. If you've seen any of the live stream that I've done with the rock band that I play in, otherwise, we do it in this. It looks like we're at a music venue with just a big stage, kind of like an outdoor type stage and everything, but we're actually in a big space inside of this like warehouse where they have a bunch of artists come and just do live stream, and they cut in all different angles and stuff like that. And that's like, yeah, like you said, that's the new wave, because now that is the only direction to go. There's, like I said, there's a couple of venues that are opening back up and doing stuff maybe illegally, but it's happening. But the big wave is like little live stream studios. I heard of one in North Hollywood that just opened up too.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Okay, dope. Let's hop into it. First, let's start with NFL playoffs is going on, and mainly the big splash from this weekend to me was obviously the Saints and the Buccaneers game. The first question I had after watching this game was, what happened to the Saints? You know what I'm saying? In the first game, the Saints won, and the second game, the Saints won handily. They destroyed the Bucs, and so I expected them to win this time. I didn't expect. I didn't expect them to blow them out. I think it was 38-3 in the second one. Like, I didn't expect that again, but I did expect them to win. And it kind of looked like, for parts of the game, to me, it looked like they were going to pull away, and then they just didn't. And then the mistakes came with Drew Brees and everything like that. So what was your take on this Saints Bucks game, and how would you, if you had to wrap up what happened to the Saints, what would you say?
You're not going to beat Tom Brady 3 times a year. I mean, that's pretty much. I just listen. I'll see if Tom Brady had a bad team.
Yeah,
you had a team where you gave them more time. Antonio Brown wasn't necessarily even really.
Yeah, he wasn't
gelled into the offense yet. So
yeah,
you had that. You gave the defense more time to get this up together. The defense had a big performance. Those 4 turnovers. Obviously,
yeah,
it is huge performance.
Yeah, so it's hard to beat somebody 3 times a year, and you turn the ball over. That's why they lost.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it. And you got Tom Brady, who didn't make any mistakes. He wasn't great.
Yeah, he wasn't great, but he didn't make any mistakes. And I think, like you said, the thing that killed them to me was the mistakes, right? Like, if you Drew Brees, you can't turn the ball over like that. You can't throw 3 interceptions. And then for the Buccaneers, not really capitalizing on mistakes. Like Tom Brady isn't going to. The one thing I said that they had going for them this year, as opposed to last year, was that Jameis Winston threw them in some games, but he threw them out of a bunch of games too, right?
Yeah,
and that's the one thing I knew. Tom Brady is not going to throw them out of any games, right? But when he does occasionally slip up, you have to capitalize on it, and they didn't. I saw a couple of interceptions, drop. I mean, they say if they could catch, they'd be on the other side. They'd be wide receivers, which I get that. But they just didn't capitalize on what they should have, I feel like, defensively. And I was surprised to see how poorly Drew Brees played. You know what I mean? And so that kind of was shocking to me. Do y'all think that this is the end of the road for Drew Brees?
I don't think it's the end of the road for Drew Brees, but I'm also count that loss Michael Thomas.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah.
He disappeared.
Yeah.
He completely disappeared during the playoff game.
Yeah.
And maybe that goes back to, like, they had that little spat earlier on the year. I don't know if they ever got on the same page. So I think that might have played a factor, finally coming to the playoffs. It might have played a huge factor.
The one thing I'll say to that is, Michael Thomas can't throw himself the ball. Like,
he can't, but he only had 4 targets. He only had 4 targets.
So that's what I'm saying.
Is he a best receiver?
So that's what I'm saying. That's a game planning issue. I don't even know who the corner guarding him was, but maybe he was shutting them down.
He said he took it to heart. That's what they're saying. He took it to heart. He said Michael Thomas gave him the Grizzly in the beginning of the game. He said he took that to heart.
Nobody could shut Michael Thomas down, though. Like, Michael Thomas can shut Michael Thomas down. You know what I mean?
Okay, but look at what happened to DK Metcalf with Jalen Ramsey. He got shut down darn near 3 times. He had that one catch in the playoff game, but he got shut down by Jalen Ramsey 3 times.
Yeah.
So that can happen. Yeah. I mean, again, and then look what happened when they tried to force the ball to him. Yeah. It was a pick 6.
Yeah.
So you can't force the ball to people. And so I don't know what the deal was about why the lack of targets were there.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. Maybe it's bad game plan, or I don't know. But that is a big issue. And Alvin Kamara hasn't. For all the talk about him, he's still a weapon. But what did he do?
He ain't do nothing. 3 for 20, receiving. I mean, he didn't do much of anything.
Oh,
excuse me.
Yeah, he had 18. He had 18 carries for 85 yards, but it was like,
he just had a
yeah. It's just you got to show. I mean, in the playoffs, you need your big players to play big, right? So basically, and that's just not what happened from all across the board.
So you're leaving a 43-year-old man out there to fend for himself.
Yeah.
And the tight ends fumbled the ball.
Yeah.
Like, so like you a 43-year-old man out there fending for himself. If I was Breeze, that would make me want to come back. But but reports say he's not coming back.
Yeah.
There's a part of him that wants to come back, even though he'll be happy to get the easy, basically for what his career is, playing a physical game like football.
Yeah.
He's getting free money, free $20 million from whatever from NBC.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that part
that might push him over the edge.
When he walked off the field, to me, he looked like he wasn't coming back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Something about seeing him. Yeah, something about seeing him at the end of the game made me go like, I don't know. He don't look like, and he was out, especially when dudes linger. Like, he lingered like, let me savor this, which I'm like, if I'm a New Orleans fan, like, that's not a good sign. The same way we watched, who was that from the Eagles? They sitting out on the field, and I was like, oh, this is the end for somebody. Like, somebody's not come back. So, to me, it just looked like the signs was showing that, like, this is it for Drew Brees.
And him and Tom Brady playing Kumbaya after the game.
Yeah, they throwing the ball to the kids. It's like, this is over.
Yeah.
You're right. It's over.
Yeah. So I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Drew Brees. He might do the whole Brett Favre thing where he's like, I'm back, I'm leaving, I'm back, this back and forth thing. But he doesn't strike me as the type. But I hopefully we get a definite answer soon.
Well, the difference in that is that Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill ain't Aaron Rodgers. So.
That part too. But it's funny because somebody said at the end of the game, I feel like they would have had a better chance in that game with Jameis Winston instead of Drew Brees. And it made me think like, would they?
I don't know.
A funny thing is with Winston, you just never know.
Yeah, you never know. Like, depending on how he feel that day.
I will say this.
Office look better than me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Winston would have had more balls. He would have took more just reckless.
I think that's what they meant. I think, and that's why I say, because it sounds crazy at first, but then when you think about it from an X's and O's standpoint, you're like
more reckless.
Maybe he would have took more shots, and maybe taking more shots would have put the game away for them. You know what I mean? So maybe it's something to that. But we'll see. So the other game was the Chiefs and the Browns, which I thought that the Browns were going to win this game especially when I saw, when I saw Patrick go out. I was like, oh, it's over. I low key stopped. Like, I was watching with some family, and I low key stopped watching. And so it was because I just felt it seemed like the momentum shift happened, and then Patrick. As soon as they said Patrick not coming back, but the score was only 22-17. I'm like, oh, okay, this might be over. But they managed to win. Chad Henne came in, and now Henne thing is possible. It's trending everywhere on Twitter. I see Chiefs fans coming up with different slogans for Chad Henne. So my thing is with this Chiefs team, are the Chiefs seems like they they was able to win with a backup quarterback here. They haven't been looking hot, but they still have been winning. You know what I mean?
These people haven't been looking hot. Like,
They didn't finish the season hot. They didn't finish this. They haven't looked like a dominant football team in weeks, bro.
I don't know about that.
They haven't.
Like their dominance being like over the top to the now. I feel like they come down and just the level of them has come down, but they still can beat teams on that level.
I mean, like the only team that really like played them well, in my opinion, is the Raiders. Like out of everybody they play, like I think that they still handily beat these teams.
I mean, they finished the year. They finished with a loss to the Chargers, which we know why that happened.
Yeah, okay, that wasn't a real game.
But then it was the Falcons game that they barely won, and most people would think they should have lost that game.
Okay, the Falcons game is concerning.
Then it was the Chiefs game that they only won 32-29. That was another shaky one. Then it was the Dolphins game that they only won 33-27. They didn't look so they didn't finish the team. They didn't finish the season. And you want to be high. I didn't pick them coming. We did picks right before the playoffs started. And I said I'm going with the Bills because to me, you want to go into the playoffs hot and streaking. And the Bills were the hottest team and might still be the hottest team going into the playoffs. I think they are the hottest team, right? And so if you had to tell me
about 20 on Sunday. The Bills are going to lose.
What?
By 20?
What?
Let's be real about this. Like, are you serious? Like what? Like the Bills have no running game. They just don't. Kyle Allen or whatever. That Josh Allen or whatever. He's the only rushing they have. It's bad. They just throw the ball all day. I don't believe in the Bills at all.
Kevin Camp was rolling over in his grave right now. Shout out Kevin Camp. Kevin Camp is not dead, but he is big Bills fan. He was on the podcast a couple weeks ago.
Coming alive too, though. You gotta remember that the Bills defense been coming alive.
Yeah, and the Bills are the hottest team in football right now. They were coming into the playoffs, and right now they're the hottest team. And although I love Kansas City on paper, I just don't think that they've looked. I don't have a lot of confidence in them going into this weekend. I don't have a lot of confidence in them, and it's because of what I've seen. Like, if you had to pick between them and the Bill, take the names out of it. If you had to pick between a team, if I tell you, Team A has been hot for the past 3-4 weeks. They came into the playoffs hot. They still look hot. Team B is winning, but they haven't looked great in about a month. You would be like, I'm going to go with Team A.
Kansas City, you talk about what they've done lately. In that first half, second half is different because Mahomes got hurt. But Kansas City literally had the carbon copy of what the Packers did on Saturday. They scored on every possession in the first half. So you're telling me so if Mahomes doesn't get hurt, you think that trend continues? Like they would have won by 20 on Sunday.
I think the difference is that the Bills are different, though. They different. They different than the Browns.
The Ravens.
Yeah, the Bills aren't the Browns.
The Ravens
that's a good point.
Okay,
the Browns are the Browns.
The Browns are the Browns.
The Ravens are a one-man team, and you saw what they did to them. The Chiefs are not a one-man team. They have weapons every single skill position. They have a Pro Bowl.
You're right. On paper, that's my point. On paper, they should be wiping the floor with everybody, and they haven't been. That's why I'm nervous. That's all I'm saying.
The Chiefs win by 20 on Sunday.
By 20?
No way.
Right, we got to keep this. Book this and check it and sign it down so we can come back to this. Next time we have Tim on.
I apologize on my emails because they're gonna be popping up. But forgive me.
Yeah, they're gonna be adding Tim. Okay, all right. So we'll see. I feel like. So let's do this. Because we're gonna do picks for this weekend anyway. So I think now is a good time than ever to do it. So clearly, Bills Chiefs. You're taking the Chiefs. You're taking the Chiefs by 20.
By 20. By 20. Write that down.
Okay, write it down. Who do you got for Bucks Packers?
I'll let Doc start.
Bucks Packers.
I think I'm gonna go for I think the Packers win on Sunday. I think it's gonna be a really good game. I think it's gonna be a close game. But I think Aaron Rodgers will be the deciding factor, right? I don't know if they can. I don't know if they can put a hat on Tom Brady, but if they can, I think that's going to be the difference in the game. Kind of making Tom Brady. He can't. I think when I say Aaron Rodgers is going to be different, Aaron Rodgers can win in different ways. He can stand in the pocket and kill you. You can chase him around the field. He can still kill you. He's still more a little bit mobile. Whereas Tom Brady, not so much. Tom Brady needs these things to go right to beat you. And so I'm going with the Packers.
Didn't the Packers get smoked? But not just lost to the Buccaneers. Didn't it get smoked by them earlier?
Regular season don't mean nothing to me because they're the same thing. The Saints just smoked the Buccaneers in the last game they played.
But the difference the difference with that is that they're division rivals. They played twice, so you got double the film, all that stuff. It was it's almost to me. I know it happens often, but it's almost to me impossible to be somebody 3 times in a row. That's just my personal opinion. That's not based on any type of fact or anything like that. But with the Buccaneers, they played once, and they Packers did not look good. You know, they got
but that's what I'm saying. That was a different. These teams the teams that you see now are different teams. You know, they played the Packers in week 5. They're not this Packers team right now is not the same team that they were in week 5. You know, so I don't put too much stock in the early season head-to-heads. I don't put too much stock in that.
Well, I will softly pick the Buccaneers.
Okay.
Because I will softly because I'm not going to bet against Tom Brady. Like I've seen Aaron Rodgers disappoint you. Now Aaron Rodgers is playing some of the best football. He is to the point he's laughing at people.
Yeah.
He's looking at the coverage, literally laughing at the lineman faces.
Yeah.
And then picking them apart.
Yeah, he gonna eat.
Yeah, so he it's like this should be the year. But we said that a lot of time about teams. Like how many times did Tom Brady wreck so many people like Peyton Manning?
Yeah.
How many Super Bowls did Peyton Manning have been? Listen, the Jets have been. There's so many teams that you would think, but also history does say that cats like Tom Brady who go to a different team. Like remember Joe Montana? They lost to the Bills in '93.
Yeah.
And the AFC Championship game after he came over from San Francisco. So history tells me.
Yeah, I mean, this team is still that the Saints was assisted the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in that win. Mm-hmm. This team is still have room for improvement. They still, I feel like, can shore up on the chemistry front as far as everybody being in sync on the field. I don't think that the Buccaneers as good as they might have looked last week, like you said, I don't think it was a great game for Tom Brady. You know what I mean? I think he just didn't make as many mistakes as Drew Brees did. You know what I mean? And I think that the Packers are the Packers are in a different. They're operating on a different level right now.
I think it's going to come down to whatever defense plays better because even though Aaron Rodgers is playing like light years beyond Tom Brady,
like he might be the MVP this year and also make it to a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Which hasn't been done in a long time. Like that's what type of vibe they on.
Yeah. So I think it's going to come down to the defense because Aaron Rodgers is playing light years better than Tom Brady, but Tom Brady got weapons all over.
He definitely has the better weapons. He has probably the most.
It's really about the better defense because if the Rams had any sort of offense, they still could have won on.
But we know the blueprint is still to beat Tom Brady for that front four and actually getting ahead on him. And so if you can do that, still to this day, that's how mediocre teams. That's how he got beat twice by a mediocre New York Giants team. You know what I mean? And so we'll see if they can do that, especially with the talent that they have on offense. I think that they can. I think that they can win and win pretty handily.
You going with the Packers by 20?
Not by 20, but I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if they pulled away, but not by 20. Not by 20.
Not 20 20 is not a lot. Like 20 is like, a couple of big plays.
In the playoffs, I think in the playoffs in the NFL, it's a lot to me. Like it's
we see blowouts all the time in the playoffs though. They're like,
I know, but which I feel like we've gotten more. Is it just me, or do I feel like we've gotten more blowouts this year? Like more games that were not as great this year in the playoffs.
In the playoffs,
yeah.
I think we really had one brutal game, that Bears Saints game.
Yeah.
Outside of that, it's been like it's just that I know that Rams game, that was actually still a competitive game. It's just like the Rams offense. I mean, the Packers offense just did whatever they want. So I felt it was always out of reach, but it
felt like it. It just felt like a blowout. Maybe that was it. Yeah. Who'd you say you was taking, Doc, for Packers and Bucks?
I'm taking the Bucks.
Okay.
Tom Brady.
Yes.
I don't see him losing in this moment. I just don't see it. Another chance to go back to the Super Bowl.
I don't know.
With a new team to prove all the haters wrong.
I don't know.
Yeah. Antonio Brown.
It feels too good to be true. Like I don't think that's happening. It just feels too good to be true. And did you say who you got for Bills Chiefs?
Bills. I'm going with the Bills.
I'm going with the Bills too. And Tim is going with the Chiefs by 1,000. Okay, so the Eagles coaching carousel continues to roll. News popped up today that they're now interviewing Josh McDaniels, and not only are they interviewing him, but Josh McDaniels is allegedly the front runner to get the job after interviewing Todd Bowles, and which I don't know.
Never come on.
I'm disappointed. This is flatting me. I don't feel excited about this. I was excited when I heard that they were interviewing Deuce Staley, which now I think that it was just a Rooney Rule. Yeah. And I found out that the Rooney Rule has expanded to now you have to interview not one but two minority coaches. I think I don't know. I don't have confirmation on that.
That's why they're gonna bring in Bieniemy. Bieniemy should be.
That's why they brought in Todd Bowles. I think.
But because you got Bowles and Staley.
You see what I mean? So that's why I'm like, oh, that's all that was. First of all, I don't like the disrespect of Deuce Staley. Don't just be dragging this. This guy has been in the system. He's been in-house since 2013, I think, and then got promoted to assistant head coach in 2018. He can at least know what not to do.
All right, I'm gonna tell you.
And the players have come out and said they need to hire Deuce Staley. You know what I'm saying? So now you have player support. And one thing before you go, Shannon Sharp made a good point this morning where he said they are going. You hear them kind of use a lot of different cliches and like we want somebody who can develop our quarterback and we want somebody who can blah 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 blah. And he was like, you better find somebody who can lead your team, who can lead men, because who can lead the defense and the special teams. And it seems like Deuce Staley is the players' coach guy, that they're all like, they've been in the trenches with him. They respect him. And they kind of feel what I feel like the fans feel is like this, he deserves his chance. And there's a connection to Deuce Staley. There's no connection to Josh McDaniels. There's no connection to Todd Bowles. And so I agree with Shannon of like find somebody who can lead this team because there was a lack of leadership even at the quarterback position with the BS that Doug Peterson pulled where I felt like he lost his team in that moment that whatever he did in week 17. So yeah,
I just want to bring up before I get into the coaching thing. I'd like to start with this. Do you really think Deuce Staley was promoted to assistant head coach out of straight up belief that he's the assistant head coach? I believe there was a sympathy promotion because Doug Peterson did not want him to be the offensive coordinator.
But why? Because he should have had his shot.
They like him.
Because he should have been offensive. So I thought that he should have had that shot too. I thought that he should have been offensive coordinator.
They like
give him a shot.
They like him. They want him around. He's an Eagle ambassador. He played for the team. Great Eagle. But for some reason, they don't see him. They don't see him as a head coach. Remember when Andy Reid first got hired, Jeffrey, he was the quarterback's coach.
Right.
He wasn't in the coordinator. He was Brett Favre's
Bro, the one boy got hired. The one boy got hired and was quality control or some shit like that. Like who was it in was it the Cardinals coach? He was the head coach. He was the head what's the Cardinals coach?
Kingsbury.
Kingsbury was he was a head coach in college, but when he got the job in college, he was quality control. Like he had done nothing. He'd literally done nothing to get the head coaching job to then leave college and then get a head coaching job in the NFL. Which to me, that's when we start to trickle in the conversation about you being dark like this and not this. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and for those who aren't watching, I'm talking about skin color at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, it goes into that where, like, I don't think, especially when you think about the BS that Josh McDaniels pulled, I don't know if it was last year or a couple years ago, right? How does he even get another? Can you imagine a young black coach getting offered a job, accepting the job on principle, then putting out a PR release, and then him turning down the job, going back to his old team, and then getting multiple offers again? They would have never. I can't ever see that happening.
And then I watched like what did Josh McDaniels do with Cam Newton this year to make you think like, oh,
why? What has he done? What has he done in this past season to be catapulted at the top of people's head coaching
in his career? He was with Tebow, right? He was with Tebow in Denver, right? Am I not?
I think so.
Am I correct? Yeah, like what he has he Tebow. People say what you want about Tebow not being an NFL quarterback. Tebow probably saved this man to give him some more extra wins.
You're right, yeah.
Like they had a game plan. Tebow couldn't execute it. In the last 2 minutes of a game, he would just run around and get them a win when they made the playoffs that year.
Yep.
So Josh McDaniels has no.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Success
yeah, I don't like it, man. He shouldn't be. He should never got offered any type of deals.
Yeah, I don't. So it looks like they're leaning towards Josh McDaniels. I don't understand why, and I haven't heard a good reason for it.
The disrespect of the enemy, though,
and that's the other thing that I didn't even get to yet. Like, why is Eric Bieniemy still not have a job? And if you're the Eagles, why are you leaning towards Josh McDaniels over the guy? If you want a coordinator, why not have the coordinator of the best offense in the NFL, somebody who just won a Super Bowl, who's on their way back to the NFL? I don't get it. I don't like. Make it make sense,
man. And the last guy from Kansas City, from Andy Reid's tree, won you a Super Bowl.
Right.
So you're tripping, bro. I don't understand what's going on.
Yeah,
it's all weird. Like the Eagles consistently, even with Chip Kelly, from after even with Ray Rose, at least Ray Rose got to two playoffs.
Yeah.
Since Jeffrey Lurie took over the team, they've had consistent excellence. They don't win the Super Bowls for that, but they had consistent consistency in winning, making the right decisions as coach. Even if we didn't understand it, maybe this is one of those things where they know what they're doing again.
Yeah.
Because they listened to us, they hired Chip Kelly, they went down the tube. But I don't think that goes down the tube for once.
It doesn't go down the tube if they don't give Chip Kelly the keys to drive the bus. That's where they fucked up.
Yeah,
they shouldn't have did that. They shouldn't have gave him power. And that's they should not have done that. Because otherwise he probably would still have a job.
They probably would have won a Super Bowl.
They probably would have.
Because
the offense looked great.
Yeah.
He gets rid of the people that made. He got rid of the people that were perfect for the offense. But absolutely, like he made that offense made Nick Foles look good. Like Nick Foles have had so many times with the Eagles where he looked like man.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's beside the point. But this is the one. Like I don't know what's going on with him.
Yeah, I think we'll keep our eyes on the Eagles coaching situation, but I felt like they're missing an opportunity to really galvanize the fan base and the team. I think this team has gone through such a crazy roller coaster from the time that Carson Wentz was drafted. With the Carson Wentz, the Nick Foles, the Super Bowl, we going back down again. And then now you fire your head coach, and then you have this player mutiny because the players did not like what he did. And now it's like, now you have a chance to make a gesture to your fan base and to your team, of like, we're going to be united. We're going in one direction. I think them holding on to Carson Wentz is another mistake. Like, I think they need to get rid of Carson Wentz and start fresh, clean house. Give Jalen Hurts a clean slate without having the Carson Wentz drama hanging over his head. Why would you go into another season with this? Do you want to go to these press conferences and have to keep having these awkward conversations about the quarterback for the weekend? Like, who wants to go into an offseason and then literally not fix this issue and then go into the next season with the same issues that you had last season? It doesn't make sense to me. Or make a decision. Get rid of. I don't know. Just do something.
I think Howie is worried about salary cap space, because if he wasn't worried about salary cap space, I tell you right now, Carson Wentz would be gone. So because you remember, you still need the salary cap space to make the team better.
Yeah.
So if you're giving all this dead salary cap money to Carson Wentz who ain't even there, it's like, yeah. Because like Howie looks good no matter what. Because if you fail with Carson Wentz, yes, you wasted a number 2 pick.
How we need to go too, because his drafting needs to be called on the carpet. Yeah, we got to stop letting this ride.
But he's still there. So for him, he's looking like, okay, I look bad for letting Howie go. I mean, for letting Carson go, and he was the number 2 pick. Now, but he also looks great with a second round. Was it a late first round or second round pick with Jalen Hurts? Second round pick.
Yeah.
If he's your starter for the next 10 years, you look like a golden child.
Yeah.
So either way, so I think it's about the money at Carson Wentz.
What'd you say, Matt?
I'm just still confused on how the guy gets fired. How do you fire a coach that won you a Super Bowl? What was that? 2 years ago? 3 years ago?
Man, that was 2016, right?
Yeah.
2017, 2018. Yeah.
Yeah. So I still don't understand that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm
the short leash.
He got fired for 2 reasons. He wanted more control of the team, and basically they were like, it's like how basically disagreed about Wentz most likely, and then and he's like, all right, Wentz is done, like whatever. That's one reason. And then even with Wentz, he lost the team.
He lost the team.
That Redskins game.
He lost the team.
What he did for doing what he did, and I think, but I understood. Okay. I understood why he did what he did against the Redskins, because in his mind, Wentz is not coming back. Let me see if this Nate Sudfeld can really be our backup.
No, but he knows that Nate Sudfeld is a backup, and Nate Sudfeld had been there for 4 years.
But I mean, he just wasn't.
What do you need to see at the last quarter of the last game of his 4th year? That didn't make any sense to me. Like, and if you wanted to do that, just start him at the beginning of the game. To me, it wasn't even so much what he did; it was how he did it. You didn't need to wait until we was 3 points down in the last quarter of the last game of the season with the rookie quarterback who most people think is your future, to yank him out of the game and not be able to see what he looks like in this situation.
Yeah.
For a guy who had been the backup's backup for 4 years.
Yeah, that's what cost him the job.
What'd you say about that?
I was about to ask that question. Do you think because of that game is what cost him his job?
I think that was for sure the straw that broke the camel's back, for sure.
That and Carson Wentz.
Yeah. So we got to move on, but the Eagles aren't doing too well in the offseason. That's the moral of the story. So it's not looking too good for us moving forward. Before we get to the association, I don't know if you guys have heard Brandon Marshall's podcast. It's called I Am Athlete. He's pretty Brandon. I like Brandon Marshall. He's a pretty funny guy. He had a podcast where him and Chad Ochocinco were going at it about food. It was basically about they get into this yelling match about whether or not your diet really matters or takes precedent over your workout. So I guess it was Chad was basically saying like I ate McDonald's like every week, every day in the NFL, and I was fine. I want to get, before we move on, whose side you guys fall on this, but just in case you haven't heard a little bit of the argument, we have it here. We'll play a little sound from their little argument. Here it is.
Longevity. You can't talk longevity with me because my black ass up. So that's out the door. Last season I played. Look at the number of targets when I put up great numbers. Look at the number of targets when I put up bad numbers. My last year. Yeah. Common sense. Do your homework.
No, sit down. No, you can't just say that because you got to hear my side. Because every time we talk about this McDonald's thing, it gets the same way.
What the f does food have to do with my skill set?
Think about it. I'm about to talk to you. Sit down. Let's finish the conversation. So, LeBron James.
Don't talk to me about LeBron James. Stop using him as a example.
Why? He's the benchmark. Tom Brady's the benchmark. Why are they playing? Why is Tom Brady 43 years old?
He's still talking about players that are playing with longevity when I got up getting in trouble.
We're having two different conversations. No, because let me get to a point.
Don't talk to me about players that are playing that didn't up like I did.
This is what I'm saying to you.
No, I don't want to hear that shit.
I would say this. Year 5, Chad Johnson, before you was Ocho
Year
Cinco,
4, and year 3, and year 6, and year 7, and 8 were all great.
I turn on the film, and you were in your prime. And what I'm saying to you is if your lifestyle, if you were eating better, and if you were sleeping better, just listen.
Baby, what time do I go to bed?
Listen to me.
What time do I go to bed? Do I club? Do I drink?
You're eating McDonald's.
He's telling me the f***ing McDonald's is the reason. What is McDonald's in my career?
What are you talking about? Do you understand the power of food?
You're f***ing brainwashed.
Do you understand how brainwashed?
Yes, you're brainwashed.
This is science. This is science. Good carbs. Good. What are you talking about?
Science. You f***ing brainwashed by these people that have these made up ass shit. You believe supersize me? You believe in that shit too?
Oh, 100%.
You do? You know
100%.
I'm done with this fucking shit. What I eat and going to make me catch better, get the fuck open,
it's not
score
about
touchdowns.
It's not about that.
Not.
It's
Either
not
you
about
got
It's not about that.
It's not about that.
Wait,
have you been hurt? Chad, how many times you got hurt?
You know what's in? Never! Never!
How many times you been hurt?
Never!
Brandon, how many times you been hurt?
How many times you hurt? What did that?
You was lining up with your 40 grand of proteins a day, and you got.
Okay, so basically Chad is snapping at him like, bro, McDonald's, I ain't never been hurt, and I've been eating McDonald's. My diet in the NFL was McDonald's, and you got hurt all the time, and you ate all this great stuff, right? What's your take on this argument right here?
I got a lot to say. Number one, they both are right. Chad would have extended his career maybe 2 more years if he wasn't an a-hole. I mean, not even a true a-hole, but like if he didn't bring so much back into the table.
But Chad is agreeing with that. Chad is saying, my career didn't end because of my diet. My career ended because of my choices. So that's why he said, don't talk to me about LeBron James or Tom Brady, because they're not affected by their choices. You're talking about longevity, and he's like, my career, he's basically saying like, you can't compare it because they don't have longevity because they ate better than me. They have longevity over me because I made worse choices than they made.
Okay, now at the same time, had he been in tip top, like he still was allowed to get away with the antics, just like T.O. when you're good. So because he was on the decline, that's why we're not taking you with these antics, and your skills are declining.
So you're saying production and tolerance, when the production drops, tolerance drops. And so you're saying you think that his production dropped, so that's why his career ended.
And that's why he feels the way he does, because it's like, well, I'm still healthy. Now I will say, maybe if he ate a salad and maybe if he ate a salad or two instead of the McDouble or the quarter pounder, maybe he has a couple more productive seasons. So it's true in both sense. Like obviously I'm a big dude, so I eat bad or whatever, and I'm not in tip top shape because I don't work out.
Mm-hmm.
That guy eats bad and works out, and he's a great athlete. But imagine what he could have been if he just.
But he's saying, so he's saying, and this is just plain devil's advocate before you hop in, Doc. He's saying, I would have still been just as great as anybody else if not for my issues with off the field. That's what he's saying. He's saying diet alone, diet apart, like I still would have been great with my McDonald's diet.
I'll draw it to you, Doc. Let me get this one thing out. There's truth to both sides. It is the TB12 method and the stuff LeBron does a little bit overhyped, yes. However, I believe if Chad or anybody eats a healthier diet and continue to work out the way it's done, you automatically gives yourself a little bit more athleticism or conditioning to keep pushing through.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So it's a combination of both for me.
I'm gonna say I don't know about that, man. Like even with LeBron James, I'm saying LeBron James gets a lot of credit for his longevity, right?
Yeah.
Part of that though is also he's in a right system. He makes sure he's in the perfect system for that longevity. Mm-hmm. Imagine LeBron James trying to do what he's doing now, which is a mediocre team.
Yeah.
We would actually see the decline.
And he would burn out.
So that's why I agree with like.
So you agree with Chad?
I agree with Chad on that end.
That like as far as
a lot more that goes into just being just healthy. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot more that goes into it's layers to it.
So Chad is basically saying like, as long as Chad's thing is basically like my diet didn't have nothing to do with my decline, and as long as I exercise and do what I need to do in the gym, I can eat whatever I want. That was Chad's thing.
Right. And he also threw in there, he was saying how the system plays in, like you get less targets and all that. So
he was saying that
it didn't matter if I was healthy or not. I wasn't going to see the same.
Yeah, because he went further. Okay, so Doc is taking us into a little bit more insight. So he went further into saying that they weed you out of the system when they're done with you. So he said that regardless of what I was eating, my targets were going down, not because this is his opinion. My targets were going down not because I wasn't open. It was because they were trying to weed you out of the system, and that's the way of the NFL.
Okay, all right. If you have value, look at Randy Moss. Randy Moss in Oakland had done. He did in Oakland. He was the Chad Ochocinco because in Minnesota he had that great start to his career. And his time ran out there. He went to Oakland. It was just a mess. Look what happened in New England. Spectacular. So if you have playing value, somebody will
yeah. When the one thing we know is when production is high, tolerance is high. What'd you say, man?
Exactly. So it doesn't matter. People, even if he says he was open or not, and they didn't give him the ball because they didn't believe in him no more.
Yeah.
And it's probably and those teams were mediocre anyway down the stretch with teams he was on.
Yeah, the other thing that I agree with Brandon on is so there's some truth to both of them, right? Yeah. Like you said, in my opinion, Chad is right by saying, regardless of what I was eating, like my career ended because of my antics off the field. If you know his story, it ended when he became a bad PR hit because of his ex-wife or ex-fiance. I don't think they had got married yet. Evelyn Lozada.
Oh yeah, okay.
Evelyn Lozada ended up he got into a domestic situation, and then he became a bad look for people. Like that, people didn't want to touch him, not so much because they didn't like his talents, but they just thought like this is too hot for us.
She put couple men down in multiple sports.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah. And so what I think I agree with Brandon's part, where Brandon is like, you eating right and you working out right and you having this regimen and sticking to your regimen can prolong your career. And so I think two things can be true in this situation. Like they were arguing like only one could be true, one could be right, but in reality they're both kind of right in different ways. I think Tom Brady has played 43 years or has lived 43 years and to the point where he's a 43-year-old quarterback in the NFL because of his regiment. I think it has something to do with it. I think that his diet has a lot to do with it. I think the fact that LeBron James spends a gazillion dollars on his body every year has a lot to do with why he's still playing in the shape that he's playing, right? And so what, man?
Man, he's around great players, man. Imagine him on a mediocre team.
No. I think again, two things can be true, but again, I think that the TB12 method and the off-season LeBron James method has attributed to their longevity, right? And to that, I think that is something that you should check them in the column that they might have over players of old, right? Like if you having a GOAT conversations and you talking about Joe Montana and you talking about Michael Jordan, it's an attribute. It is something to attach to your argument that you outlasted. Like people talk about quote unquote longevity statistics or longevity, feats, as if that we should snub our nose at them. But if everybody could play 20 years in the NBA, then they would have.
Oh,
if everybody could play,
listen,
this is real.
If Michael Jordan, the competitor we know, competitor, I didn't want to do this today, man.
What?
If Michael Jordan, the competitor we know him as, knew what LeBron knew, do you know him?
What you mean? What do you mean by that? You got to clarify that.
If they would have known how to take care of their bodies and all this type of stuff, Michael Jordan.
They knew enough to know that the stuff that they was doing wasn't going to help them play 20 years. Michael Jordan, you telling me Michael Jordan didn't know that smoking cigars and drinking cognac before games wasn't going to prolong his career?
Yeah,
come on, bro.
But what I'm saying, he was one of the model citizens though when it came to health and fitness as a player, working out hard. Like.
He was the Chad Ochocinco of the. You see what I'm saying? He wasn't the Brandon Marshall. He was the I can do this. I can smoke as many cigars as I want to before a game, and that's what I'm saying is that mindset is not going to prolong your career. So it is something that we should praise people for when they do things that allow them to outlast their competition. That's just as great as being able to shoot 40. You know what I'm saying? It's something that we should applaud. That we should say, okay, we can attribute that to you, and that's a notch that so and so doesn't have. You know what I'm saying?
I just think that somebody like that, if they were playing in this day's era, would have adapted those qualities.
I mean, we don't know because this is also a personality thing, right? Chad Ochocinco is like. He's this alpha male of I'm gonna do what I want to do, and I want to eat cheeseburgers and Big Macs before games and go out and kill y'all. So how do we know Jordan, who's the alpha males of alpha males, wouldn't have been the same way? It's just a personality thing. You know what I'm saying?
And one thing before I know you got to move on, but I'll just say this. To defend Chad Ochocinco, even though I agree with both, and I'm more on the Brandon Marshall side.
I think I am too. Yeah.
Russell Wilson spends $1 million on his body every year. What he looks exactly the same.
But listen, so the part that I agree with Brandon about is that he said, because Chad said, well, you didn't eat like I ate, but you got hurt way more than me. And Brandon's response was, I can't help if a dude decides to hit me in my ankle and put his helmet on my knee. Like, I can't help that, which is true. Like, you can't, there's no way to prevent that. Like, there's no way to prevent.
Brady would tell you different. Brady would tell you different, but
I don't think he could. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't. Brady played in an era where you're not allowed to breathe on a quarterback, right? So I think that's something that he can't really speak to. Like, you know what I mean? Whereas, like, if you're constantly getting shots to the knee as a quarterback, if you played in the 80s or something, you can't help the fact that you have you had 3 knee surgeries. You know what I mean? Because of how you were hit, or it's just an unfortunate collision that happens on the field, which is what Brandon Marshall was saying. He was saying, I got hurt because I got hit awkwardly, or I fell awkwardly, or something like that, not because of my diet or anything like that. So that's something that I agree with Brandon. Like, you can't really control that, whether it's diet or not. Let's go to the association. So obviously the Rockets had the big blockbuster trade that happened. Let's bring up what happened in the trade. Just to refresh everybody's memory, because by now it's been talked about ad nauseum. But we brought up a graphic. If you are not watching, it has what everybody gave up in the trade. So the Rockets gave up Harden and the 2023 second round pick. The Nets gave up everything. So the Nets gave up LeVert, Allen Prince, Karukas, 3 first-round picks, 4 pick swaps. The Cavs and the Pacers were also in the deal. Cavs gave up Exum and some draft picks. The Pacers gave up Oladipo. So Oladipo goes to the Rockets, which I thought was out of all the conversation that was happening around this trade, I thought that was the most underrated thing that was not talked about, was the fact that the Rockets got Victor Oladipo. And people, not for some reason, because he played in Indiana, people don't really respect Victor Oladipo as an NBA player, but he is. Victor Oladipo is vastly underrated in the NBA, in NBA circles, especially with fans. He's vastly underrated.
He's not number 1 for a championship team. I'll tell you that.
How do we know when he played for the Pacers and he had no help? How do we know that, right?
Come on,
like,
man.
We've never seen him. We've never, if James Harden only played in Indiana for his whole entire career with the same mess that Victor Oladipo played, nobody would be talking about James Harden like he's James Harden right now. You know what I'm saying? Victor Oladipo, we're talking about a guy who is an all-star, like, just perfect example for the Rockets right now. If I told you, I didn't say any names. If I just told you one of the teams in this trade now has, between their top 3 players, they have 11 all-star teams combined. They have 4 all-NBA teams and 2 all-defense teams made between the top. You would be like, oh, that's a top 3 contender. Like, that team might be the best team in the West, right? Yeah, that's the Rockets. That's the Rockets right now with John Wall, Victor Oladipo, and DeMarcus Cousins.
Like, Boogie Collins is beyond damaged goods. John Wall is damaged goods, and Oladipo is a guy who we don't know if he's a true one. So he's a true one.
He hasn't had a chance to, you know what I'm saying? He is a true one. He's
on a mediocre team. I don't see him as a true one for a championship team.
We've never seen him on a championship team. But this is his first time that he's been on a team where they actually have contender talent, to me.
You know the true ones on a championship team. When they're bad, you knew Durant was. You knew that. You knew LeBron was. Like, you knew back in the day. You talk about Jordan. You knew who Jordan was. When he was these type of dudes.
No.
Terrible teams to be better.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. The thing is, you brought up all world talents, right? You know, LeBron James, Michael Jordan. No. What I'm talking about guys who
Durant too.
I'm talking about guys who, before guys who literally have been overlooked because they've played in a no man's land.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah, and so I think that people don't respect Victor Oladipo's game. I watched because I'm an avid LeBron James watcher. I watched all of those Pacers teams, and Victor was dragging a bag of cadaver dogs and dead bodies like by himself. You know what I'm saying? He was keeping them in games when he wasn't getting swept. When they did win 1 or 2 games in a series, it was all because Victor Oladipo went off by himself in the fourth quarter, or was keeping them in the game the whole time. He's never had his second best player has been Sabonis. You know what I mean? Like, who has he played with in his career? You know what I mean?
No, I like Oladipo. I just don't like whatever. Like that's how I feel.
And that's a mistake. That's the mistake that people are making, because this Rockets team, if they stay healthy, is going to be a really, really tough out. They're going to be a contender. They're going to be hard to deal with. Because John Wall's issue has always been health. DeMarcus Cousins' issue has been health. It hasn't been talent.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? They just can't stay healthy. You know what I mean? And even Victor Oladipo has had his, he's missed a bunch of games with health. So if you're saying, okay, on the health front, Victor Oladipo is a 2-time All-Star. Victor Oladipo is all NBA, all defensive team, most improved player, a rookie, all first team leader in NBA steals leader. Like, Victor Oladipo is legit, bro. He's legit.
But he's
like somebody on Twitter. I think it was CJ Branch, who we all know. Said on Twitter, asked me about the trade, and I talked about the trade. I said I didn't get why the Nets did the deal until I heard about the Victor Oladipo thing, and I said, oh, that makes sense why they went with with this deal over the Sixers deal. So so CJ said something like, well, you would take Victor Oladipo over Ben Simmons. I said, are you serious, bro?
Oh yeah.
Like, this is how much we disrespect Victor Oladipo. That's how. Just say you don't watch it. You just don't watch anybody who plays in Indiana. Because if we are that far in the NBA sphere of insanity that we think that Ben Simmons is better than Victor Oladipo, then we are way off the deep end here.
Okay,
a guy who doesn't even shoot, who's not even a threat past 10 feet, is better than two-time NBA, two-time All-Star, NBA All-First team, defensive All-First team, averaging 20-something a game and leading his team in the – somehow Ben Simmons is better than that guy? It's insane, yo.
Insane.
But to be fair, this is the same NBA atmosphere that gave Steve Nash those MVPs. So like, I would make the same comparison in that. Like, Ben Simmons is like a bigger, but except he can't shoot, a bigger type Steve Nash. So people love that type of player, a guy who can make plays for everybody else.
Yes, but not over Victor Oladipo, because you just preface your thing with a guy who can't shoot. But how you lead in your team and you don't shoot the ball. You won't even attempt to shoot the ball.
I think people look at Ben Simmons and Oladipo on the same tier. But they're
not. But they're not. They're not at all. Like, Victor Oladipo, it's such a disrespect to Victor Oladipo to put Ben Simmons in his a guy who doesn't even shoot, who when he makes a 3-pointer, it trends on Twitter. Like, come on, I would be like, if I'm Victor Oladipo, I'm like, y'all got to be kidding me, bro. Y'all have to be kidding me. I've been in Indiana lugging dry bones and dead bodies to playoff runs for years, and y'all gonna tell me a guy who every time he makes one 3-pointer, his team throws a party for him on Twitter, he's better than me? I would be losing my mind if I was like, it's crazy to disrespect. Like, just say you don't watch him play basketball. I would prefer people just say, I don't know who Victor Oladipo is.
No, I mean, we watch him, and he's a nice 2-guard.
He is.
I think that's the thing, because he's not ball dominant. That's the thing.
But he is on that he was on the Pacers. He is that whole team's engine. You know what I'm saying? Whether it was scoring or running the offense, everything went through Victor Oladipo. You know what I'm saying? And them even making the playoffs, even in the East being as bad as it was a feat because his second best player was Arvydas Sabonis' son.
I like that. Sabonis, we got to disrespect Sabonis like that.
I'm not disrespecting Sabonis. I'm just calling a spade a spade. Like, this is crazy to me.
I think, okay, I think a lot of people see Oladipo as a poor man's Dwayne Wade.
I'll take that over Ben Simmons every day of the week.
Oh, okay.
Every day of the week. Every day of the week. So people are also comparing this Nets trade. So now everybody's losing their minds over the Nets, right? So I've heard people compare the Nets to the Warriors, like the KD's Warriors team, right? Which is also insanity to me, because I'm like, y'all, number one, that Warriors team with Kevin Durant and Steph Curry and Klay Thompson fit together. They had a fit about them that was very puzzle-like. Everybody was in their own lane and did their own thing. And when he joined the team, he just was another thing in the cog. He was just another cog in the puzzle. He just fit right on in because he didn't step on anybody's toes and nobody did the same thing, right? who's going to be, when you watch that team play, Steph Curry would sometimes be running around like a chicken with his head cut off on one side of the court, off on when they're on offense for like what seems like 10 minutes. He would just be constantly moving. There was a quote that I think Dwayne Wade made where he said the dangerous thing about Steph Curry is he never stops moving on offense, right? Same thing with Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson is a 3-and-D guy, but if he's not standing spot up ready to go, he's moving to get to another spot. Who on this team is Klay Thompson and Steph Curry? Is it James Harden, who is the king of the dribble, or is it Kyrie Irving, who is maybe the queen of the dribble? Like, these comparisons to the Warriors and everybody writing them in the finals and they're going to be trouble for the Lakers, and this is insane to me.
They'll be in the finals though.
Would it surprise me if they made it to the finals? No, especially because the East is wide open and it's pretty much a shit show right now. But it's a shit show. It's a shit show because people is all up in arms about them beating they beat the number 1 seed, the Bucks. The Bucks are the same. Bucks is the same number 1 seed that lost to the 5th seed last year. So why are we like, the East is a mess? The East is the Sixers are a mess. The Bucks are the weakest number 1 seed in the history of the NBA. Like, it's ridiculous. The East is a mess.
The Nets are going to the finals.
And that's why I say I wouldn't be surprised.
Going to the finals. Nobody's stopping them in the East to get there. Nobody.
Yeah, to me, it's a 3-horse race, and I don't believe in the Bucks. So
I don't believe in nobody in the East.
Well,
the Bucks are the weakest number 1 seed. All you have to do in the playoffs is stop Giannis from Euro stepping to the rim, and you're going to beat them. The Boston Celtics have done nothing but underachieve for years for the past couple. This team that everybody was so excited about their young talent. The young talent is still young talent, but they supposed to be grown by now. I thought that the Kemba Walker thing would have way more success than it's had. It has really produced zero fruit. The 76ers, Joe has a 20-something-year-old superstar who's going on 50-something and can never stay. Talk about health and diet. Can never stay healthy. Can never stay on the court. They got a point guard who don't shoot. Then you got the Pacers in the 4th seed right now. We know they just lost their star player. The only reason why they was in the 4th seed, which nobody likes to acknowledge, is because Victor Oladipo was there. We know. Y'all, but the rest of the NBA world and the Twitterverse is like, Victor Oladipo who? But somehow that same Pacers is in the 4th seed in the East, right? They won't be anymore because he's gone. Then you got the Nets, and then it's a shit show. So if they make it to the finals, I'm not going to be, super impressed or amazed that they made it to the finals in the shit show of the East. But like I said, it's like, for you to be, the Lakers got to be worried and the Clippers got to be like, come on, y'all.
All right. So let's start with I disagree about the East shit show. That's just me. But we talk about the Nets, why they compare them to the Warriors, which I don't see it. I think I'm with you. The comparison is made because they all play on the perimeter, but the difference is like the Warriors meshed together, and their team was built on sharing and cutting and moving without the ball and sharing. I think Durant is cool in this. He don't gotta have the ball all the time, but Kyrie and Harden always have to have the ball. And then once Kyrie gets there, Joe Harris is eliminated.
Right. So who takes the back seat, right? Because you think about what happened with the big 3 in Miami, right? The first year that they didn't win, it was because they didn't know who was taking the back seat to who. LeBron James was deferring to Dwayne Wade, and Dwayne Wade was deferring to LeBron James. And Chris Bosh was somewhere lost in the middle. And that team didn't work until Chris Bosh was like, I'm going to be the 3rd guy. And then Dwayne Wade was like, this is your team, LeBron. We're going to go as you go, right? And so Chris Bosh went from a 20-10 guy to an 18-8 guy. And he was okay with that. You know what I'm saying? And he played his role with that. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with when Dwayne Wade just kind of conceding. And so that's how they won, right? These teams even if we just talked about Tom Brady, even if you look at it across sports, you look at the NFL, right? You look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? All of those guys on that roster were Pro Bowlers last year. None of them made the Pro Bowl this year. None of them. but they're about to play in an NFC Championship game. Why is that? Because when the way that you have to win is everybody can't be the guy, right? So I'm assuming Tom Brady went in there and was like, listen, we're going to win, but you're not going to have the same numbers that you had last year, Mike Evans. When everybody was talking about you and Michael Thomas and you and all the other great wide receivers, you're going to be out of that conversation. You know what I'm saying? And now we're bringing in Antonio Brown. So you're going to have less catches too. But we're going to be more of a threat on offense because we're going to share the ball and everybody has to play a role, right? When you have a lot of great talent, everybody can't be 1A, right? So when you talk about the Nets, who's taking the back seat?
Harden's going to take the back seat.
No, he's not.
I think Harden's going to take the back seat.
But they're playing so well right now with him, with Kyrie. Right now, they don't even need Kyrie.
First of all, find Kyrie. Find him. That's what I want to tell the people who want to.
He's back now.
If y'all want to compare him to the Warriors, find him, okay? And they saying he's gonna be back, but who knows?
No, he's back.
He's gonna be back, and when he come back, Kyrie's gonna play more of the shooting guard position, like he's always wanted to play, regardless of the fact. And then Harden's gonna play the point guard.
Well, he played that. He played that position in Cleveland, and he didn't like it. And then he left to go be the lead guy, and he pooped that away in Boston. And so now what? So now he's gonna be happy being a third guy on the team.
I think he's just happy to be the third guy on the team without LeBron. I don't think he just don't like LeBron James. I think that's
he wanted his own team. He wanted his own team, and then he shat that away. The team went to hell. So he got his own team, and it didn't work. And then he moved to another team.
Right, he moved to another team, but now I don't think he doesn't mind. As long as it's not LeBron James in the factor, he don't mind.
All right, so what was the issue with LeBron James wasn't in Boston? What was the issue then?
He knows he needs a powerhouse to beat LeBron James, right? He not stupid. He not dumb.
I don't know. This is the flat earth guy, so I don't know.
All these guys are weak sauce to me, man.
They are. Mentally,
the whole league is. The whole league is. We thank LeBron James for that. The whole league is.
We thank LeBron James for what? For Kyrie being a drama queen mess?
He started this.
Started what?
I think that narrative is old.
It's false. We all know that.
No.
The first big three happened in with the Lakers in the 80s. Like, you know what I'm saying? But the free notion that LeBron. Go ahead.
The free agent big three thing was a LeBron thing, but I think the NBA is so beyond that now because
the Nets are the only team with a big three, and maybe Houston because people not talking about them. But I think Houston got a big three now.
So once LeBron went back to Cleveland, the Warriors championship was organic until their first championship was organic until KD came, and then people were upset about that again. Now, with the Lakers championship, the Raptors, what they did showed a different way to win. And then the Lakers with just, you got your prototypical big, even though LeBron's not a little guy, but you got your
big
and small,
inside,
player.
outside. Yeah.
You got that. So that was, that's kind of where we're going. Now you got these guys, like, out of nowhere, just, like, coming together. It's just like, come on, man. Oh, by the way, my battery, if I die, forgive me. I'm on 3%, and I thought my charger was right here, but it's not.
It's all good. We about to wrap up and get out here to this rapid fire. But I just feel like everybody needs to slow down on this Nets team because we've seen not only that, but the two biggest head cases in the league, maybe the three biggest head cases in the league, are all on the same team now. Yeah. And there's something to be said about cohesiveness. Chemistry and leadership, which is things that this Nets team does not have. We don't know about. Kyrie hasn't been in there yet with them, so we don't know about the cohesiveness and the chemistry yet. But we know that they don't have leadership. Who's the leader on this team?
They don't got Phil Jackson either.
All three of these. Not only that, but you're doing this with a rookie head coach, right?
Yeah.
So now you have all of these, the three of them, maybe the biggest egos in the league, right? Who have not been leaders. Or not have been good leaders on any of the teams that they've been on and they've been leaders in. Not Kyrie, not Kevin Durant, not James Harden. So now what happens when the ship gets rocky? Who's the captain? Who's the captain of this ship? You know what I mean? So that's a question that the Nets got to answer, and everybody needs to slow down and wait to see if they can answer that question before we write them in a championship. You know what I mean? After 3 games or whatever it is. Let's get. What you say, Matt?
They're not
stopping them. I just don't see nobody stopping them.
Oh, I mean, that team out west, the team that won the championship last year.
They can't beat the Lakers. They can't beat the Clippers.
They can't beat the Lakers. They can't beat the Clippers either.
Yeah.
Like them actually like going to the.
No, I'm saying people, we writing them in like, oh, they gonna win the champion. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like I said, the East is a mess. So them making it out the East is not a huge feat to me, and not something that would surprise me. They should make it to the finals off talent alone, because they just have more talent than everybody else everybody else in the East, but they're also top heavy because they gutted their depth. The Nets would have been better off if they just had James Harden and KD.
I really believe that.
With the depth that other roster had, they'd have been super dangerous. They did not have been nervous. But y'all gutted y'all team. You know what I mean? And so it's like that's another thing that people are not thinking about. Okay, let's get to this rapid fire and get out of here. The Jags are gonna hire Urban Meyer as head coach. I don't love this whole college retread thing. We have more instances of this not working than working in the NFL. And so I think they do this for the big name splash and, oh, look, we got, the hottest college coach and everything like that. But I think it's a lot of times, going back to the Deuce Staley conversation, it's overlooking guys who deserve it and who have been there, who just don't have a huge name. The Jets hire former Niners coach Robin Saleh. This is Salah. As their head coach. This is another thing like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, whatever.
The Falcons have offered their head coaching position to the Titans offensive coordinator Arthur Smith, which again is not really
who cares? They gotta rebuild their roster.
Yeah, they got a lot to do. CJ McCollum is going to miss 4 weeks with a foot fracture. And then last but not least, Lamar Odom plans to go pro. Lamar Odom plans to go pro in boxing.
Like celebrity boxing, like the Tyson League boxing. Is it that?
I think no. Like I think like WBC. Like I think like he's trying to like win a belt or something.
Trying to kill himself.
He's trying to kill himself, and it doesn't make sense to me. Like, bro, just let this go. Let this ride out. Go ahead and retire. You don't need to be in the spotlight and be trying to. I would actually be more in favor of him going to play in the Tyson League, but the Tyson League is for old.
That would make more sense.
Yeah, it would. It would. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, who they got? The YouTuber boy about to fight Conor McGregor. You know what I mean?
But with real boxers?
Yeah, I feel like he's been through enough trauma in his life. I'm not sure why he would want to do that again. Doc Hero, thanks so much for joining the show again today. Please tell the people where they can follow and support anything you got coming up next.
Hey, man, you can follow me on Instagram at Doc Hero. I actually got a single drop in March, so be on the lookout for that, and a project releasing later on this year, along with some like new merch, certain merchandise, new t-shirts, hats, and all that kind of stuff. So be on the lookout at Doc Hero on Instagram.
Dope. Go check that out and support it. Thank you guys for following and subscribing and listening. Make sure that you go to YouTube, turn on your notifications so you know that when we are dropping another video, and then go to wherever you listen to your podcast, whether it's Spotify or if you listen on iHeart or Google Play or whatever. Make sure that you go hit the follow button for us too, because that helps, and we appreciate the growth that we've been seeing. You guys commenting on the socials. Make sure you go follow us at Backstage Sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and all that good stuff. I'm at Joe Connor 33 on everything. My Splice Pack is still up and available for download. It's the Lo-Fi Philly Splice Pack on Splice for all you producers out there. Go check it out and support that. I hope y'all. I've been hearing good stuff from the people who have gotten it, so I'm glad. I'm good to hear that, and we're gonna be working on some more stuff. So hopefully, be on the lookout for that. Thank you guys for listening. This has been another episode of the Backstage Sports Podcast. Shout out Tim. Thank you, Tim, for filling in. He had some difficulty, so his computer died. But thank you, Tim, for joining the show. So you can go follow at Timothy Parker on all of the social media platforms and catch him on Spectrum News as he covers the Lakers and the Chargers and the Dodgers and all that. So shout out to Tim for joining us, and we will see you guys next time. Peace.